All right, let's jump right in. Having a brilliant strategy is kind of like having a perfect map to buried treasure. It's exciting. But what good is a map if you can't actually steer the ship? In business, that steering system, that's what we call strategic control. And it's the one thing that makes sure your amazing plan actually gets you where you want to go.
But that brings up a really frustrating question, doesn't it? Why do so many of these brilliant strategies fail? I mean, companies spend a ton of time and money crafting what they think is a foolproof plan. They've got the goal, the people, the big idea, and yet so many of these plans just sink. So what gives? Well, here's the thing. A strategy doesn't exist in a vacuum. The world outside the company is always changing, right? The economy shifts, new tech pops up, and inside the company, well, old habits die hard and might not fit the new plan. Oh, and let's not forget your competitors. They're definitely not just sitting still. A plan is just the map. The real adventure is navigating the actual journey.
So here's our course for this explainer. We'll start with the problem, then get into the core navigation system, the strategic control loop. After that, we'll check out the instruments on the company's dashboard, look at the 4 different kinds of strategic radar, and finally, we'll talk about the huge difference between steering the ship and just rowing the oars. Okay, let's start with the absolute heart of the matter, the strategic control loop. Don't think of this as a one-time checkup. It's more like the constant humming navigation system on a modern ship. It's a continuous process that's always running, designed to help you make those small, crucial adjustments to stay on course. And the process itself is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. First, as you see here, you set your standards. You have to define what success even looks like. What are your coordinates on the map? Step 2, you measure what's actually happening. You collect the real-world data. Are we heading where we thought? Or has a current pushed us off course? And third, based on that data, you take corrective action. You grab the wheel and make an adjustment. And this isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a constant cycle. Set, measure, correct, repeat. Now, to measure anything effectively, you need the right instruments. And this brings us to what you can think of as the company's dashboard. Just like a captain has gauges for speed and direction and engine health, a manager has a whole set of tools to monitor the health of their strategy. Now, this might look a little complex at first, but it's a fantastic example of a control tool called the DuPont system. The idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It shows you how a big top-level number, like profit, is actually connected to a whole web of other things in the business. It lets you see not just what's happening, but why. So, for instance, you might see profits are down. With a system like this, you could trace the problem. Maybe it's not sales, maybe sales are great, but maybe it's a spike in how much your inventory is costing you. And just like that, you know exactly where to focus. And really, that's what all those financial ratios you hear about are for. They're just different gauges on your dashboard, and each one answers a really basic, important question. Profitability? Simple. Are we making money? Liquidity? Can we pay our bills this month? Solvency is about the long haul. Can we survive a major storm? And asset utilization asks, are we getting the most bang for our buck from the resources we have? Each one tells you something vital. So a good dashboard tells you what's happening on your ship right now, but a great captain is always scanning the horizon for what's coming next. And that's where the 4 types of strategic control come in. The best way to think about them is like 4 different radar systems, each one designed to spot a different kind of threat or opportunity out there. First up, you've got premise control. See, every single strategy is built on a bunch of assumptions about your customers, the market, the economy, you name it. This radar is constantly checking those assumptions. Are the seas still as calm as we predicted when we set out? If one of your core beliefs about the world turns out to be wrong, you need to know about it fast. Next is special alert control. This isn't for subtle changes. This is your emergency storm warning system. This is for the sudden, game-changing events, the rogue waves. A huge competitor gets bought out. A new law changes your entire industry overnight. This system triggers an immediate all-hands-on-deck review of your strategy to handle the crisis. Then there's implementation control. This one is your progress tracker. It focuses on the actual execution. Are the projects and initiatives that make up our strategy actually hitting their targets? Is everything on schedule and on budget? This just makes sure that the crew is doing what needs to be done to keep the ship moving forward. And finally, we have strategic surveillance. Think of this as your wide-beam, long-range radar. It's not looking for anything specific. It's just scanning everything, Trade magazines, conversations at conferences, what people are saying online, looking for those faint signals, those emerging trends that might just be the next big thing or the next big problem. Now, all these tools and radars bring us to a really crucial distinction in how we think about all this. It's the difference between being at the helm of the ship, steering it, and being down on the deck, pulling one of the oars. Both are absolutely essential to get where you're going, but they are fundamentally different jobs. And this chart lays it out perfectly. Strategic control, that's the steering. That's a top management job. It's focused on the long term, it's looking outside the ship, and it's asking the big question. Are we doing the right things? That's effectiveness. Now, operational control, that's the rowing. That's focused on the here and now. It's all internal, and it asks, are we doing things right? And that's efficiency. You need both, for sure. But you can be the most efficient rower in the world and still end up lost at sea if no one is steering correctly. And this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. The whole point of a control system isn't to punish people when things go wrong. It's to make those continuous adjustments along the way. Mid-course corrections aren't a sign that your plan was bad. They're a sign that your journey is being managed well. So, when you pull it all together, the big takeaway is this. Strategic control is proactive. It's forward-looking. It's not about looking in the rearview mirror to see who messed up. It's about looking forward, using your dashboard and your radars to actively guide your organization to its destination. It really is the art of steering. And that really just leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When it comes to your organization, your team, is there someone at the wheel actively steering the ship with a clear view of the horizon? Or is everyone just working incredibly hard, heads down, rowing with all their might, and just hoping you end up somewhere good? Because the answer to that question makes all the difference in the world.